Welcome. So you're getting ready for a purchasing analyst interview. If you think it's all about memorizing definitions from a textbook, well, let's think again. We're about to walk through the 8 crucial stages of procurement, but not as some boring list. We're going to treat them as real-world challenges, the kind of stuff hiring managers actually use to separate the good candidates from the great ones. Let's dive in.
Let's kick things off with a pretty big number, 80%. Yep, according to industry surveys, that's how many hiring managers care more about your practical, problem-solving skills than your ability to just, recite the dictionary. They want to see how you think on your feet when things get messy.
So the real question isn't what you know, but what you can do. How do you actually prove you have those skills? Well, over the next few minutes, we're going to break down some super common situational questions and give you a solid framework to turn every single one into a showcase for your killer analytical mind.
Okay, let's start with the first 4 stages. In the business, we often call these the upstream challenges. I like to think of it as the strategic gauntlet. This is where your foresight in your early decisions can make or break the outcome down the line.
And here it is, the classic first hurdle. You've got the engineering team saying they need the absolute best, top-of-the-line machine. And then you've got the finance department who've approved a budget that's, shall we say, a little more modest. You're stuck right in the middle of this classic corporate tug-of-war. What do? The secret here is not to pick a side. Nope. Your job is to reframe the whole debate using an objective tool, total cost of ownership, or TCO. What makes TCO so powerful is that it forces everyone to look past the shiny price tag. It calculates the true cost over the entire life of an asset. We're talking maintenance, energy use, repairs, the whole shebang.
So, your game plan is crystal clear. First, you get both teams in the same room. No more emails back and forth. Then, you ask engineering to connect those expensive features to actual business results. With finance, you run that TCO analysis. Suddenly, the debate shifts from just cost versus features to a much smarter conversation about long-term value and ROI. That data-driven answer, that's how you win. All right, on to challenge number 2, navigating the great unknown. Your company wants to use a new, sustainable material, which is great. The only problem? It's a market you've never touched before. You have no supplier list, no contacts. This isn't just a test of your research skills, it's a test of how you handle total uncertainty. The answer here shows a methodical, low-risk strategy. You start wide, scanning the entire industry. Then, you use what's called a request for information, or RFI, to quickly and efficiently filter down the possibilities. Once you get some samples to make sure the material actually works, you do a deep dive, due diligence, on just a handful of the best options. See? You didn't just guess, you systematically built a qualified list of partners from scratch.
Now, this one is a true test of your integrity. The numbers are clear. The lowest cost supplier is the winner on price. But a little digging reveals they have a pretty terrible ethical rating, and that flies right in the face of your company's values. So, what's your recommendation?
The absolute key here is that you don't bury this problem. You put a spotlight on it. You make the business case that the potential cost of a PR nightmare and brand damage is way, way higher than any short-term savings. This answer proves you get it. Sometimes the cheapest option is actually the most expensive in the long run. A fun negotiation scenario. You've got a critical supplier and they know just how important they are. Not only are they refusing to give you any cost savings, they're actually demanding a price increase. This is a chess match. How do you shift the power back to your side of the table? Your power comes from preparation and leverage. You walk into that room armed with market data that shows what everyone else is paying. You also broaden the discussion beyond just price. Maybe you can get better payment terms or find other ways to create value. But here's the kicker. You make your threat to leave credible because you've already found and qualified a backup supplier. Now you're not just reacting, you're negotiating from a position of strength. So, we've navigated the strategic chessboard. Now, let's move to the operational front lines. These next 4 challenges are the downstream hurdles. This is where they test your precision, your speed, and your ability to solve problems when the pressure is on. Okay, here's a classic data gone wrong scenario. You find out that because of a pricing mistake in the company's big ERP system, you've been overpaying a supplier for 3 months. Yikes. You need a plan to not only stop the bleeding, but to get that money back and make sure it never ever happens again. A top-tier answer here is all about being systematic. Step 1, you immediately fix the master data in the system to stop any more overpayments.
Step 2, you calculate the exact damage down to the penny. Step 3, you call the supplier and arrange for a credit. And step 4, and this is what really makes you stand out, you put a new control in place, like a regular audit to prevent it from recurring. This shows you're not just fixing a problem, you're improving the process.
Next up, a supply chain fire drill. A supercritical, time-sensitive order shows up, but it's incomplete. This is about to derail a huge project. This is a pure test of your crisis management skills. What do you do right now?
The key is to do everything at once. This is not a step-by-step thing. You are on the phone with the supplier to expedite the rest of the order, while at the same time, you're messaging the project manager about the potential delay and also starting to research backup plans. This proves you're not just a messenger of bad news, you're an active hands-on problem solver.
Okay, here we have a classic recurring headache. A major supplier's invoices keep getting rejected for the exact same tax error over and over again. Now, you could just fix it every time it comes in, but a great analyst knows that's like swatting mosquitoes one by one, instead of just draining the swamp. So how do you fix this for good?
The best answer is to go straight to the source. This shows you take ownership of the whole process from end to end. You get on the phone with the supplier's billing department, you give them specific examples of the mistake, and then you offer to work with them to figure out the root cause and fix the problem in their system. This is about real process improvement, not just endless corrections.
And now for our final challenge. This is the big one. This is where you go from being a buyer to being a true strategic partner. A key supplier doesn't just bring you a product, they bring you an opportunity. They want to jointly invest in a new technology. How do you even begin to evaluate that?
You put on your internal consultant hat. First, you partner with the supplier to map out the project scope and crunch the numbers on the potential return on investment. Then, you take their claims and you pressure test them with your own internal tech experts. Finally, you pull it all together into a professional business case for your leadership team. This shows you can think big and create value way beyond just cutting purchase orders.
And there you have it. We've gone through the entire 8-stage procurement cycle. But in answering these questions, you've done way more than just prep for an interview. You've actually demonstrated the core mindsets that every top employer is desperately looking for.
Think about it. You've shown you're analytical by using TCO to solve a conflict. You're strategic, using leverage to win a negotiation. You're ethical and risk-aware, putting the company's brand first. And in every single answer, you've been proactive and solutions-oriented, fixing the root cause, not just the symptom. These are the building blocks of a truly exceptional analyst.
So as you walk into that interview, don't just think about what they're going to ask you. Think about this. With these frameworks in your back pocket, what kind of strategic value are you ready to bring to the table? Now go show them what you've got.